night are calling. It's twilight time.
Wanda and Vision, aren't we a five-pair?
This is our home now. I want us to fit in.
So when last we saw Vision, he was dead.
That's right, yes.
Without spoiling too much, what the heck, man?
I think Vision is, you think you're confused? Imagine being Vision, you know, I mean, think about it. He finds himself suddenly in a, idyllic, suburban, black and white 1950s sitcom. And then next week, he finds himself in a 1960s sitcom, and then he's colorized. I mean, the whole thing's confusing for him.
Speaking of being confused, you played this character for a while, and something that we really see in the show is his sort of like love for Wanda, and eventually his love for his family, and just like him learning emotions, like learning to be a person, sort of, or like an amalgamation of a person. As an actor, how do you sort of like go through that process of like him gradually learning humanness over time?
It's been the journey of Vision. You know, you saw him born. He was a sort of omnipotent ingenue who was incredibly naive, but yet incredibly wise. It was fun to play with. And then by Civil War, he's really, really already on his journey and super interested in trying to understand humanity and what it is. And then I think by Infinity War, he's arguably and ironically the most human character. And by this show, I was, you're wanting him to stay the same, but I was thinking he's always been changing. And he's born partly of Ultron, partly of Jarvis, partly of Tony Stark, and now we're just throwing a little bit of Dick Van Dyke in there, And as long as the core of Vision stays true, and the core of Vision is he's decent and kind and honorable, then it can absorb a little bit of Bryan Cranston, a little bit of Hugh Laurie, and a lot of Dick Van Dyke.
Speaking of Dick Van Dyke, the show has some homages to like classic American sitcoms.
It sure does.
And specifically stuff from like the 50s and 60s. And I'm wondering, as someone who didn't grow up in America, what was your relationship with those types of shows? Like, how much Dick Van Dyke show were you watching growing up?
I grew up in the 1970s, and by that point, the full force of American cultural imperialism was in full swing. And so my Saturdays and Sundays were given over to watching those American advertisements like the Dick Van Dyke Show, I Love Lucy, the Brady Bunch. I mean, all of them, Dukes of Hazzard. I mean, all of them, So, and it worked because I now live here and I'm a citizen. so the advertisement worked. But yeah, I mean, I knew those shows intimately growing up.
We are an unusual couple,
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
At last,